Hi, I'm Schoen. I've lived out of a Porsche Cayenne for about a year and a half now, so I have a ton of experience. I've driven basically every single type of Cayenne there is, on every suspension setup, every configuration, and today I'm going to go over the most expensive, and for good reason, Cayenne that exists on the market today. So Cole here is actually going to go over the specs, features of the car, things that they've done to it in their possession. They received it in non-working condition and have just went over the whole entire car, basically touched every single nut and bolt on this.
Harrison's right. I mean, this is a 2008 Porsche Cayenne Turbo. The color is actually OEM. It's Porsche olive green metallic. It's a very hard color to find. I think it looks awesome. It just pops in the sun, but it still has that subtlety. But it's got 83,000 miles on it when we got it. We actually put a 40,000 mile motor in this car, and we also bolted a set of 71 millimeter pure hybrid turbos to it. So it's got a lot more oomph than what a factory car would have. We're still in the tuning process of this, but right now we just did a draggy on it on the latest tune revision, and we got a 0 to 60 time in 5.38 seconds with all of this weight added onto it. The bigger tires, 33/12/5 beadlock wheels. It's got full underbody protection on the car, skid sliders, bumpers, rear swing outs, all the accessories on the rack, and it still hauls.
And it should be somewhere around 700 horsepower, right?
700, 750. We're at altitude, so we definitely lose a lot of power because we don't have enough air to suck in and get all of that fuel thrown at it. But I'm estimating around 700 horsepower. We probably will be throwing it on the dyno to verify that. We're still in the tuning process, but it feels awesome.
Now there is so much on this car that's been done that it's going to be hard to go over the car in an organized fashion, but we will cover everything.
Everything.
All right, so we're going to start on this corner here. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so first thing first, we're running a set of BF Goodrich Mud Terrain KM3s. Awesome tire, love these tires. We're running a 17-inch wheel. This is actually a 33 by 12.5, so it's actually a real full-size off-road 33. And we're running a set of black Rhino wheels that we set off to OMF Performance to have beadlock converted. So it's a fully functional motorsport beadlock on this, so we can air down and not having to worry about pop beads. What's also cool in this corner is that we have our set of upper control arms that we're going to be coming to market here shortly with. So we have a fully rebuildable ball joint on these upper control arms. These are camber adjustable, so if you're running big suspension setups, you'll have the ability to fix that positive camber that you have there. So the ball joint's rebuildable. They have sealed sphericals that are fully greased, encapsulated in the inners, so they won't be noisy. They'll have a very good service light to them. They can also be pressed out and put new ones in, but the strength of these control arms is awesome. They're really built to handle all the thrashing that you put at them.
What sort of lift is on the vehicle?
This is currently a two-inch air suspension lift made by Eurowise. We have it set up a certain way, but we really do like how these cars handle with the 2-inch.
So you had the 3-inch lift on this before and changed it from that to the 2.
We did. We didn't like how much of a subframe drop that we had to do to achieve that. We actually felt that the car handled and drove a lot better with the 2-inch lift on it.
And then down here, you guys have actually modified the rocker panel and welded on new plates, right?
Yeah, so to fit these massive tires, we had to chop the rocker back about 1.5 inches. And then once we do that, we clean and prep all the material, and we have a filler plate that goes in here. And then we weld all that in, so it's fully sealed again, and then we underbody coated all of it.
Kind of hard to get a video here, but yeah, it looks very good. The Eurowise front bumper also comes with the intercooler skid plates and protective plates, so it's tucked nicely under here, and you shouldn't have to worry about knocking any of this on rocks. I mean, unless you got something perfect, but that's likely not going to happen.
We've laid this down, you can see.
Yeah.
And it's protected it great. This is my little shop helper, Frank.
Oh, buddy.
He likes being around all this stuff. But yeah, let's talk about kind of underneath of the car. So, as you can see, we have a full underbody protection on this car. That includes front skid, transfer case skids, rear diff skids, sliders. It's got gas tank skids in the back. You can lay this on anything, and as long as you're gentle with it and not bashing it, the car will come out perfectly fine. You won't be damaging the car when off-roading. We have PowerFlex subframe bushings that we've installed in this. This car does have PDCC, which really special about PDCC is that it adjusts to the drive modes that you're doing with the car. So say if you're in off-road mode, it actually fully disconnects the sway bars because it has a hydraulic coupler in the middle and it can control that. But when you're in sport mode, it stiffens it up and it really does drive like a P car, which is pretty crazy. We've actually re-geared this car as well. So it's re-geared from a 327 is what the gear ratios normally come in this, and we've gone down to a 4.556 gear ratio. Actually, up. Is it up? Yeah.
Up, I guess.
Yeah, up. It drives a lot better.
And so I was actually on top of the World Trail with these guys. They took this vehicle and another one that they have. This one is nicknamed Pumbaa. The other one is Warthog, and then I brought my Cayenne. So we did top of the World Trail, and both of the air suspension cars held up as well as my car. Didn't have any issues, didn't have to worry about anything breaking on them other than the two axles, because this one snapped an axle while using its rear locker, and then I snapped the rear axle, so the cages kind of blew apart. Hopefully that's not an issue with the new axles in the future, but the air suspension cars are incredibly capable.
So we're actually just talking back and forth, and there's more stuff that I have to talk about in the front here. So we did polyurethane bushings on the control arms. The reason we do that is because they aren't a bound rubber bushing anymore. So when we do poly bushings, the center section of it's free, which allows the car to have more unrestricted droop. So basically when we use a stock bushing, it's a rubber piece that's bound to the center section, and when it twists, it actually gets tighter and tighter and tighter because it's twisting that rubber. So what's great about poly bushings is that they aren't bound to each other, and they're actually, that center section's greased. So it allows it to swing a lot more freely. One thing you can't see underneath of this skid plate is that we actually have a set of polyurethane steering rack bushings. We've noticed with a lot bigger tires, the bushings in the steering racks like to have play, which makes the steering feel a little sloppy. So we actually have a manufacturer that makes bushings that makes the bushing for that. So we've been installing those with a lot of our builds and really liking how the steering response has been.
So underneath the back of the car now?
Yep. So we're in the back here. One thing you'll definitely see is this big X pipe. With having bigger hybrid turbos in this car, we really wanted to make sure the exhaust wasn't restricted. So it's got a set of custom high flow catted downpipes, and it's paired to a full 3-inch turbo back exhaust that has a double X pipe. We like the X pipes because it gives it that very exotic sound to it, and it doesn't really restrict the paths that are crossing.
Plus, if you don't use an X pipe, it can come out sounding like a Harley Davidson or something. Harley
Davidson, you know, German military tank, you know, all those things. But we don't want that. This is a Porsche after all, so we want it to sound like a Porsche. This has Eurowise's tubular rear bumper on it. We like these bumpers. So after the X pipe here, there are two vibrant ultra quiet resonators, packed mufflers. Besides that, it is full 3-inch from the turbos back and from the cats.
And did you feel those were necessary? Is there a lot of drone in the car without them?
It refines it a little bit. You know, it quiets it down a little bit. It gives it that kind of German muscle car feel. It still does have a good roar to it, but we didn't want to straight pipe it straight back from the downpipes.
So the X pipe and the whole aftermarket exhaust or custom exhaust is connected to the rest by what?
It's got some V-bands here, so we wanted a V-band it right at the rear axle section. So when doing diff swaps or axles or anything, this whole rear of this exhaust can come off easily, and we don't have to take the whole system off the car.
Which I actually witnessed happen because we snapped the rear axle in Moab and had to change the differential on this. But they dropped the exhaust, and then the diff was basically free to come out after that. Well, after the diff skid was removed too. But
one thing that's cool to mention on this car, it does have a factory rear rocker that we retrofitted to it.
And it's from a Touareg, right?
It is from a Touareg, so it has the proper gears for this setup.
Okay. Yeah, and front and rear diffs are both 456s. And if you're going with a 33-inch tire or larger, I think that it's a very necessary modification because it really wakes the car back up. Plus, you lose a lot of power in the low end, and you lose your ability to kind of climb over rocks. It's not really the same. So personally, I'm going to go with 456s in my vehicles too.
Yeah, the regearing with 33s really makes a difference on these cars. In the back here, we actually did all of Eurowise's polyurethane A-arm kit. So has polyurethane bushings in the control arm itself, and also has it here in the hub, which again just allows us to have more free travel. It's got the sliders on the rear A-arms here. It's got the Eurowise tubular rear control arms.
So it's got this arm and then two more above that
Yep.
that are kind of difficult to see from this angle.
Yep. Again, that just allows more articulation in the rear of it. It's got the rear disc sliders. This is the PDCC coupler. So a lot of people don't really ever get to see these. So this is what controls if the sway bars are connected, not connected, or if they're stiff or soft. All of that's done through the computer management in the car. But that's the coupler and the actual sway bar itself.
And you guys have added a rear view camera right here on the bottom of the bumper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's got a rigged ultra swing on the back. We love these tire carriers. Really sturdy, great build quality, awesome functionality. It also has onboard air in the car, so it has a full double pump ARB compressor mounted underneath the trunk. It's all routed internally, and it actually has their Bluetooth app that will automatically set and deflate pressures.
All right, so next we're going to talk about the lighting on the front of the vehicle and the winch and Factor 55 piece.
Yeah, so all of our lighting is from Strands. It's a company out in Sweden. They do off-road lighting for all that stuff. What's really cool about them is they have accent lights. You can do the orange, you can do the white. There's also a flashing function on the ditch lights and the rooftop. And then we have the front lights, light bar, and the ditch lights. Really great lights, really cool styling to them. I like them a lot. We're working on becoming a US retailer for them. In the front, we have a worn S10 Evo on this with a Factor 55 Fairlead and Ultra Hook. Really love the Factor 55 products, all made in the USA. Really dependable and sturdy. But yeah, the ditch light brackets are from Eurowise. We redid the headlights and clear brought over them so they won't fade again. And it gives a little extra layer of protection on the car. On the top, we have a Sherpa Ramstein roof rack. We really like those. So we have a Crazy Beaver shovel up here. Really love these shovels. It was cool that we were able to color match this to the car. There's a lot of tan accents all over the car that I really think match. We have a set of Max Trax Extreme traction boards. What's cool about these is all of these little nubs are replaceable. Really great, cool recovery boards that we have up here. Lots of real estate for stuff.
And this is a Sherpa rack that you guys received in raw and then had powder coated to preserve the finish.
Yeah, we did a clear powder coat on it. We really liked how it looked. We wanted that kind of to match that factory finish of all the trim on the car. So this is a Berg Peaks Edition car. Not only does it go through our process of getting it fully up to spec, all the maintenance done on it. We go to these cars top to bottom. We have a big laundry list of things that we do to these to make these ready for sale. So we have some branding on the pillars. We have those laser cut badges. Figs Engineering is our engineer that we partner with to design all of our parts that we're coming out with. It's hard to see, but there also is branding on the light, the pedal light, and all that stuff. Just little touches, you know. We want to make sure the car feels special. So we have our big 33 on the back here on our rigged Ultra Swing. Really love how these things open. We have a high lift mounted to it. We have water. We have gas.
And those are rotopacks, right?
Rotopacks, yep.
Mounted to the rigged side hack,
Side hack, yep. Love this table. When you're
you guys have it opening this way.
Yeah, that's the baller way to do it. Because then you're
Mine
not
opens the
hitting
other
all
way.
this.
Yeah,
you
that
can
makes a lot of
actually.
sense.
What's nice is you can swap which way it opens. So it's got a cutting board in it. This table is sturdy. I've seen other ones in the past, but the quality that Rig puts in these, even with the little bottle opener, the small touches, I just love it. Factor 55 recovery point in the receiver here. We have their lock pins as well. These are the best lock pins on the market that I've found. Super strong. They're all sealed with O-rings and just really, like, they have good products, which I really like.
And the Ultra Swing is also rated for towing like 10,000 pounds,
10,000 pounds, yep.
and I think 1,000-pound tongue weight too. So it's a really special, sturdy piece. I have one. I love mine.
So I'll kind of go over the trunk here. We have all this recovery gear that we use as kinetic rope. We got a tow strap.
So all of this is included with the purchase price of the car, right?
Yes. Yep. This is all.
And that is a very expensive kit from Factor 55.
I think the kit retails for like $1,400. I have the kit in my car. I love it.
I noticed the hose here.
Yep. So what's really cool about this and trick is that we retrofitted factory onboard air for this the upgraded way. So in the trunk here we have
a kickstand, which all Cayennes come with.
Yep. So we actually tapped into the factory air system. We have some valves here if we want to, shut it off and make sure it's not, bleeding any pressure anywhere, just, for servicing and stuff. But we welded some bungs onto the factory air tank. So there's 2 air tanks in this car. There's one in the trunk here, and there's one underneath the driver rocker. But awesome compressor. What's really cool is it has their Bluetooth module in it as well. So this valve block, when you plug this in, there's an app that controls your tire pressures. You can set them to what inflation pressures you want, deflation. This only turns on when the ignition is on the car, because we don't want to run this without the car running, because it does take a lot of power. Another cool little thing that we've added quick chargers throughout the car.
Is that USB-C and
Yep.
a USB?
Yep, USB 3.0, USB-C, and it's got a cool little voltmeter. It tells us how much voltage the car has. Just like nice little touches that we found that the car is really just updating them, making them a little bit more modern. This car was made in 2008. We're in 2023 now. Let's bring it up to date.
So also with the welded on bungs, is this helping the factory compressor keep the right pressure for the air suspension?
So we found with the ARB compressor, it only, I believe it's 150 PSI that what it goes up to. The factory air tanks run a lot higher than that. We've actually found that it doesn't really help the factory air system. We use it just for inflation purposes for the tires.
Yeah. So are you guys just keeping excess air in there to help the tires air up faster?
Yep. Tapping into the factory tanks just gives us more capacity, so we're not running that pump as much. So we're inside here now. It does have an aftermarket CarPlay radio in this. It's not wireless, you do have to plug it in, but it does have CarPlay. Got our nice wood grain here, which is an option.
The seats look like they're incredibly clean. No cracks in the leather or anything. So the actual trigger controller is magnetic, and while you have it unplugged, there's 2 batteries in the back of it where you're able to carry this around, and like within 50 feet or so, you can change your lights from the outside or turn them on or off. And up here, it's got the 2 plates that are able to keep it backlit while it's inside of the car.
Yep, so when the lights are on, the backlit will always be on. And that's a feature that you actually have to wire up. So we took all this apart and actually tapped into all the factory wiring. So when your lights are on in the car, all the backlights on as well.
So it's cool that this is actually tan and kind of matches the interior of the car, but it also replaces the sunglass holder, which most sunglasses today are too big to even fit in there.
One thing I've never seen in another one of these, and this is definitely a custom ordered car, but the tan gauge cluster, usually you can tell if they've been overlaid. Some people have put gauge overlays. The precision of this gauge cluster, it's factory.
And plus, it just looks like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah, I mean,
most don't.
All of the, the lights.
No lights. It also sounds crazy. And Aaron, the owner of Berg Peaks, was so meticulous about this car that he said on acceleration and braking, there was a penny behind the ashtray that he searched the car over and over until he found that, because he would hear a slight tink whenever he would brake or accelerate.
Yeah, we do go through these cars very thoroughly. When we're done with all the work of them, we drive them. We drive them and make sure they're all proper.
And with the car, so in here with the max tracks up on the roof, you've got the straps to make sure you don't lose the max tracks when you're in sand or anything and they do get buried. You can pull them out. These are the keys, it looks like, for the hitch pins and just different things around the car. Roof rack stuff. All of these will come with it, of course. And down here, you've got the winch controller, so you can well, this is actually a wireless winch controller, so you can use it like this, or you can use the cord to attach it to the winch in case you need that, in case the battery in this is dead. So it's got the Bose radio. This car is somewhat highly optioned. The only thing I think they were missing were the grab handles in the center console that were not ordered in the same wood as the rest of the car. Right here, they've got the sunshades for the rear. They've also got the cargo cover for the back. And everything, like the seat backs are also like still attached. Sometimes that's an issue on the cars. The cup holders in the rear, the cigarette lighter.
The only option, one of the options...
Rear heated seats too. And what were you going to say?
It doesn't have the rear climate control. That was an option that was not selected on this car.
So rear climate control, in my opinion, is not incredibly necessary, because if you're going to run the 33-inch tires or larger, it adds extra coolant lines inside of the wheel well that you then have to relocate. So it's more of a pain in the ass if you do want to use this car off-road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the specs that this car has is really, it all ties together very nicely.
Cole here is going to walk us through the center console and how to use all of this, or like what's included here.
Yeah, so one thing with PDCC cars, the way to find out is you'll say it there, but all these buttons will be silver on PDCC cars. So you have sport mode. If you want to put in sport mode, it'll stiffen up the sway bars, put the dampers in sport, and it'll actually drop the car into level 1. This is loading mode, which is the bottom one. But
so you can't actually drive in this one. This is just for loading passengers.
Yep.
Say you have an elderly person getting in the car.
For me, I find it to put all my stuff on my roof rack. It drops the car down really low, so it's easy for me to get up top. But I'll kind of show you all the off-roading functions of this. If the car's in neutral and we push one up for the mountains, that puts our low range reduction on.
So we're now in low range gearing.
Yep. And then if we do that one more time, it puts the center differential lock engaged. And then what's nice about this car, if we click it once more, we have
the reverse or transverse lock on, which is the rear locker.
Yeah, we retrofitted this to that car.
You guys also did the wiring harness and everything for this to make it work like OEM?
Yep, it's all OEM integration, like the car came with it.
So a few things, in my opinion, that take this over the top. They have the lights, the strands mounted here on the front bumper, and behind those they actually have PPF to make sure that they're not scratched when the lights move or anything. And there's also clear bra on the front end of the car, most of the front bumper, right here on the first quarter of the fenders. On the door edges, you also have PPF. Behind the vinyl wrap and the design that they've added to the car, there's PPF in here, in the back. And you also have PPF here along the trunk so you don't scratch it when loading luggage and such.
We wanted to make sure the car not only functions great, but looks great at the same time.
And it's ceramic coated too.
Yep, it's got a ceramic coat on the car as well.
You guys had it like waxed and polished and cut and everything?
Yep.
So, okay, right here, a quick thing. The car was actually featured at SEMA in Tora. Do you remember what Tora stands for?
So Tora is the Truck and Off-Road Association for SEMA.
Yeah, so this was displayed outside of the show for, I think, almost a week's time. And yeah, everyone seemed to really enjoy it.
Oh yeah, we've gotten great feedback from it. Everybody loved it there. And we have something a little special in the works for this coming year's SEMA.
Okay, so tell me everything or most things that you kind of went through when you guys replaced the engine. 83,000 mile car, replaced it with a 40,000 mile engine.
Yeah, so
you guys basically touched everything on the engine.
We touched everything, and when having the car out, It was carbon cleaned. All of the seals for every single item that we touched were replaced. Stuff that we didn't even touch, we were like, okay, let's go in there while the motor's out and let's go through everything. So this is pretty much as close to a brand new long block as you can get. Tons of seal, like thousands of dollars of just seals in this car.
So all of the tubing and stuff is new, right?
I believe so.
I assume.
Yep.
The
New motor mounts in the car. This car's got brand new motor mounts in it. Torque mounts changed. All new valve cover, gaskets.
And the motor mounts are a big thing because to replace those on the turbo car, you actually have to remove the engine.
Motor out job. Yep. Yeah, it's even with the motor out, you got to take the turbos off.
So essentially, front to back, this car has been touched all over, every single nut and bolt, nearly every single nut and bolt. But the car is in spectacular shape. It's a little bit late right now, but tomorrow I plan on getting some driving footage of this and taking it out and really experiencing what the 700 horsepower is actually like. I haven't driven it with the 456s. I've only ridden it with Cole before it was tuned or anything. And that was even just very fast.
Oh, it's quick. I mean, it's a quick car. Those
Plus,
turbos make a huge difference.
It had the 3-inch lift at the time. Now it's got the 2-inch. You would say it's perfected.
This is my favorite setup to date that we've done with the car.
Great. Well, I can't wait to experience it myself tomorrow. I haven't experienced it in its final finished form. But if you guys are interested in buying this or even inquiring about it, please reach out to Cole or Berg Performance. I'll leave their email in the description below. So it's the next day, and I've got a bit more daylight out, so I'm excited to actually get to drive the Berg car. In the daylight, it looks pretty insane. It's also freshly cleaned, and I can't wait to drive this thing. Definitely need to scoot the seat all the way back since I'm 6'5". So I've got to drive this car for about 2 hours now to go over to Sherpa Equipment Company and talk to them, meet them. I haven't actually stopped in since I've been in Colorado or anything, so I'm excited to get the opportunity to do so in this car. This thing handles like it's on rails and it's on 33-inch BFGs. There's not many cars that would say the same. So it's in sport mode also, in the sport dampening setting, and it feels like I'm in a sports car still, and that's not something that really happens in any other vehicle. Like even G-Wagons and stuff are still much higher center of gravity, even with sway bars and everything. Like they don't handle this well. GX. I'm about halfway into my 1 hour drive to get the Sherpa right now, and I really enjoy cruising in this car with the windows down, even though it's like 50 degrees outside is indicated by the gauge cluster. This is really solid. I'm happy. Plus I have the fog lights on right now, so the amber like mood lighting or scene lighting or whatever from the car is on and looks spectacular while I'm driving down the road. I swear like every single person is snapping their head at this thing.